let's talk about how to shift a pattern that you're really stuck in. Maybe that's a pattern of avoidance. Maybe it's a pattern of procrastination. Maybe it's a pattern of judgment. Maybe it's a pattern of depression. Maybe it's a pattern of anger, of putting yourself down, of not being in action with things that you want to be in action with. It's working out. It's working harder, or not working harder, working more, working on certain things, whatever it might be. I want to share with you a strategy on how you can shift any kind of pattern that you're struggling with. And I'll use something that that has been a struggle for me in my whole life. And recently I've had a really cool breakthrough around it, and it's been less and less an issue in my life. So from a very young age, I struggled with boredom. Now, when I was a teenager, that was pretty common, even before the advent of smartphones. In the 90s in Green Bay, Wisconsin, there was not a lot going on in our suburban community there. And I was always bored, and I was trying to do things and found my way. I eventually stumbled into smoking weed a ton and partying a lot and thieving, being a thief and stealing things and drinking and drive. I got into a lot of trouble, and also did a lot of dangerous things that, thank God, nothing was too destructive and nothing happened that was too destructive in my life. Into college, I still struggled with this boredom, and I would say anxious and depressed, but it was like if I felt bored, that was kind of like the end of things. Like it was just everything started to creep in if I got bored. Now, into my 20s, I became a high-performance athlete, mountain athlete. So I would do things in the mountains, like run on trails and go whitewater rafting. And I was a high-performance rock climber. Anyway, I did all of these things just to avoid feeling boredom, right? Now, here's the first thing that you can do if you're struggling with some kind of a pattern that's probably not mine, because that's a pretty specific one, but something that you're struggling with. The first thing that we want to do is not judge the pattern, right? So for example, for me, I judged myself because I had this issue. I mean, first I became aware of the issue that I struggled being bored, and people kind of made fun of me for it. And I would judge myself for it. I'd also be judged for it, kind of playfully, but still, it had some barbs, just say, from other people. The first thing that we want to do is not judge the experience that we're having, right? And then secondly, just look at it for what it is. For me, what was the boredom really about? Well, if I felt bored, like I said, then I would feel anxious and I would probably feel depressed. And I just felt terrible if I did that. Now, I didn't really engage in the core issue around what to do with that anxiety or the depression and what it was really about. I didn't really go into therapy until much later in my life. And I put so much resistance and judgment onto that pattern of boredom. And it just created this whole mess of things. So maybe your pattern is avoidance, or your pattern is reaction. Just soften around it and say something to yourself like it's okay that you have this. It really is. Now, it might have destructive effects on your life, on your relationships, or on yourself, but just for a minute, let it be okay that that pattern is there. Yes, you're clear that you want to change it. You're clear that that may have destructive aspects to your life. But for a minute, if we don't do this, then we add this layer of reaction, of stress, actually, of another layer of depression, another layer of anxiety, another layer of anger, frustration, except this time it's towards ourselves, onto this thing. So just for a minute, let it be okay, right? Let it be all right. And stop for a moment running from it, trying to fix it, trying to have it be different, and just look for a minute at it and let it be okay, right? And just take a breath with it for yourself right now. Regardless of what you're doing or where you are when you're watching this video, take a breath and really do it. Take a deep breath if you can, right? And let yourself soften around whatever this pattern is for yourself, right? Secondly, look at how it plays a role in some form of keeping you safe. This is the next layer of something I didn't do for many, many years around this pattern. For me, the boredom was a clue for me to not have to feel anxious or depressed or deeply insecure or feeling like I had no real worth, judging myself, right? So that boredom would kind of come up and it would be like click, and then I would do something to have me feel better. Now, again, for me, it was like intense, addictive style exercise, right? Or I would hurt myself a lot. I would thrash my fingers and my hands from just smashing them in cracks. I mean, there was some enjoyment of it for sure, and I enjoyed aspects of it, but there was also a profound aspect of it that was about avoidance and not having to feel things. So for me, the boredom helped keep me safe because I didn't have to feel those other things. For you, if you're struggling with depression or anxiety, depression and anxiety can actually keep us safe. Interestingly enough, anxiety can have us become hyper aware of our surroundings such that we can't get hurt or attacked or be in a dangerous place. Depression can have us kind of like go away and dampen everything and depress all of these feelings or experiences that we don't want to feel or remember, right? So we can kind of like dim the lights down so we can't see anything in the mind's eye of our awareness. Everything that we do serves us on some level. Everything that we feel serves us on some level. So just take a look at whatever this pattern is and how it absolutely, somehow, we don't know, and I can't tell you, but you can discover this, how it serves you. On some level it does, and usually, almost always, I've never seen an exception of this, but it's probably possible, it has an experience of keeping us safe. Right? Judging, if your pattern is judgment, which I have this pattern that I transform pretty much on a daily basis. Judgment helps me feel better about who I am and protects me from my own insecurity. Right? If I judge other people, then I kind of boost myself, put myself on a pedestal. I don't have to feel insecure. I don't have to feel the weaknesses of my personality. I don't have to be courageous by looking at like the actual weaknesses of my personality and transforming them. Right? So take a look at this, and if you're struggling with this, try these two things, and it will make a huge difference in your life if you practice them with regularity. One, soften with them, let it be okay, and then look for how it probably kept you or keeps you safe. You got this, and all my best.